So what else do you actually do? Because I mean, we all know, yes, this is Draco Malfoy. He shows up every movie and does an amazing job, and we love him. But what do you do when you're not being Draco?
Well, for one, I spend 99% of the day probably off the set, so I spend most of my day as Tom, not Draco. I've killed the last 2 years pretty much offset with a guitar. Thank you. Yeah, it's really nice to have something there that you can just, you can really kill some hours with that thing. And I love to read, I love to write, I love to listen to music, and there's a great group of people at the studio. It's not just the cast, but the crew as well. We've grown up with most of them, which is a real lucky experience. They've seen us come from 12 to 21 now, and it used to be a big, child-friendly set, no swearing, no lewd remarks or anything like that. Whereas nowadays it's a bit better now. We've it's kind of good. It's a lot more fun these days.
So who do you tend to find you have the most on-screen chemistry with, as far as you're concerned?
Daniel and I have a good, we have a good rapport. But it's not easy. It's not easy, man, because over the last couple of years we've grown quite ironically really good friends, and now there was, without giving too much away, whenever we have very close scenes with each other where we have to sort of stare each other in the eye. I look at his eyebrow, not his eye, because if I catch a glint of a smile, then that's it, man. In photo shoots, we're useless together, because that's why they do all our shots separately, I think, because we just end up smiling at each other, and that's not really the look they were going for, I don't think. So, yeah, quite ironically, Daniel, I think.
Yes, you had a really dramatic scene when you were essentially kicked out of the slug party, and you were thrown up against the wall. All right, people, slow down. What was it like working with Alan Rickman?
Terrifying, yeah. He's a very cool guy, but he's very, he speaks very slowly. But he's misunderstood very much so. A lot of people think that he could be, slightly dry and not the most, humorous guy, but you'd be very wrong. He's one of the funniest guys on set. He has a very, very witty sense of humor. I remember once we were doing a night shoot and it was about 3 a.m. This was towards the very end of the film. We were outside and Snape and Harry are having their little battle at the end. And he was standing there like he does, very, very solemn. And I thought I'd sort of, try and break the ice and be like, "You all right, Alan? How you doing? You feeling okay?" And he sort of, does this thing where he pretends not to hear you for 10 seconds. And he turned his head very slowly and just said, "I've peaked." And that was it. And I think, and no one knows whether to laugh or not, man, because he's a sort of, okay, Alan, okay, but he is incredibly witty, and he doesn't need any introduction as a fantastic actor. It's great to do a scene with him one-on-one, and again, I was very nervous, but if he's not critiquing you and he's saying, that was good, then I'm over the moon. So yeah, I was very grateful for that scene.
I take that too. So you've told us a little bit about some of the on-set interaction. What are some of those stories that we don't get to hear about all the time? Some of the amusing things. I understand there are some definite pranksters on the set.
Yeah, Daniel's one of the biggest. Yeah, he brings a great sense of enthusiasm to the set. Whenever spirits are low, he brings them straight back up again. Again, Alan is a constant source of entertainment as well. We had a very interesting scene with after the demise of Dumbledore. Sorry if none of you have seen it.
There could be spoilers.
Sorry. We're sort of walking down the Great Hall in this sort of V-wing, like goose formation, and he's the sort of lead goose, if you will. And he has this, this 3-meter long wedding cape style thing that hangs off his neck, and naturally it drapes quite a while behind his feet. And the director was very keen for us to, stay very close behind him, so it sort of looks like we're a very sort of strong formation. And before we started the shooting, he again turned to us in his very solemn way and said, "Don't step on my effing cloak." And it was like, fair enough. And again, we didn't know whether he was joking or not. It was just me and the Death Eaters. We were like, okay. Sod's law, second take. straight on his cloak, yeah, ripped him by the neck, and luckily he found amusement in it. Much later on, not at the time, but and also one of the Death Eaters trod on his cloak the third take, so it wasn't just me. I felt pretty lucky about that. Yeah.
So we've talked about some of the stories that are going on behind the scenes, and what about in previous movies? Because we are definitely very interested in the sixth movie, but this is our first chance to really get to know you a little bit better, I suppose, as some of your castmates. So, what are some of the more interesting? I was growing up on the set of Harry Potter things that happened.
I don't know. To be honest with you, this is number 6 is one of the first films that I'd been there from start to finish. From the very start of the production to the end, which was really organic. And healthy as an actor to sort of see it come together. Whereas before I'd always sort of spent a week on set and 3 weeks at school, back at like completely normal school, and then back on set for a week. So I grew up off the set, whereas I know Daniel, Rupert, and Emma spent a lot more time on than off. I feel very grateful that I've got the same group of friends that I had before I started the filming. And they're still equally non-interested in anything Harry Potter related, so that kind of works for me, because
Must be a little refreshing.
It is, because even when I come home and I'm excited and I say, oh, I did a scene with Alan today, they're like, Alan who? And it's like, oh. But it's kind of nice to me. It helps keep one grounded, I think, because I'm not interested in their office job, they're not interested in my office job, so it kind of suits, I think, to be fair. As far as, stories on set growing up, I don't know, I managed to avoid most of the drama. I hear there was a fair bit of, romance and, hormones were flying about. We were all young, and but I generally kept my professional cap on and didn't get involved with anything like that. So again, I'm sorry to be boring, but I can't reveal anything entertaining on that front, I'm afraid.
That's okay. So what has your interaction with J.K. Rowling been like? How much have you actually had a chance to meet or get feedback, especially from her?
Sure. I confess, again, before the 6th film, I met her on the first film because she wanted to meet all the cast, naturally, which was, hugely exciting. She was, I have nothing but fabulous things to say about her. Not only what she has done for the world of literacy and film and creativity, she's really brought, she's stretching imaginations across the world, which is fantastic. But also as a person, she's the most down-to-earth person I think that you'll ever meet. So that's really nice. And there's a funny story actually. My best friend actually lives in the house that I used to live in, and that's the address that Warner Brothers have of where I live. Anyway, so he rang me up and said, "You've got a letter from some woman called Jo, and she says like you were good in the film or something." And I was like, "Okay." I just thought it might have been a fan letter they were passing on or something. And I go over there a couple of weeks later, and it's this beautiful purple velour envelope with a, handmade. It looked really, really nice. And I thought, okay, this isn't a typical fan letter. And of course, at the bottom, it has J.K. Rowling's signature, handwritten. She's written me a letter saying that, she'd seen the film before I'd ever seen it, and she was thrilled with the performance, and she was really, really happy with the way it turned out. So naturally, as an actor, that is the ultimate compliment. I've had the director's blessing,